Marcus Hernandez never expected to return from his deployments with both visible and invisible scars that would change everything about his life. The former Marine sergeant carried shrapnel in his left leg and memories that haunted his sleep, making simple tasks feel like climbing mountains. When his sister Elena inherited their grandmother's sprawling ranch in the rugged Sangre de Cristo Mountains of northern New Mexico, she made it clear that Marcus was welcome to stay. But her husband Derek saw things differently. Derek's constant complaints about Marcus being a financial burden echoed through the old adobe walls, especially when medical bills piled up, and Marcus struggled to find work that accommodated his disabilities. The tension reached a breaking point when Derek announced they were selling the ranch to developers, dismissing Marcus's protests about preserving their grandmother's legacy. But Marcus wasn't alone in this fight. His loyal German shepherd, Ranger, had been his constant companion since returning home, and the intelligent dog seemed to sense that something important lay hidden within the vast wilderness surrounding their family property. The arguments grew more heated as autumn painted the aspen trees gold across the mountain landscape. Derek had already contacted real estate agents, eager to cash in on the prime development opportunity that the 1,000-acre ranch represented. Elena found herself caught between her husband's practical concerns and her brother's emotional attachment to their childhood home. Marcus spent most of his days walking the property with Ranger, remembering summers when their grandmother Rosa taught him about the land, the hidden springs, and the old mining claims that dotted the mountainous terrain. The German shepherd had developed an unusual habit of leading Marcus to specific spots on the property, particularly near an outcropping of red rocks, where their grandmother used to tell stories about the early Spanish settlers. Ranger would dig at certain locations, whining with an intensity that suggested more than casual interest. Marcus initially dismissed this behavior as the dog's natural hunting instincts, but Ranger's persistence began to intrigue him. The dog's focused attention on particular areas seemed too deliberate to be mere coincidence, and Marcus started paying closer attention to these mysterious expeditions. The family tensions exploded during a bitter dinner conversation when Derek announced he had scheduled a meeting with Pinnacle Development Corporation for the following week. He slammed his fist on the wooden table, declaring that Marcus's sentimental attachment to the ranch was preventing them from securing their financial future. Elena tried to mediate, but her voice wavered with uncertainty as she admitted they desperately needed the money from the sale. Marcus felt the familiar weight of being seen as a burden, the same feeling that had plagued him since his injury forced an early end to his military career. That night, as he sat on the front porch with Ranger beside him, Marcus studied the stars scattered across the vast New Mexico sky and wondered if Derek was right about him being nothing but a drain on the family. The German shepherd sensed his master's distress and nuzzled against him, offering the wordless comfort that had helped Marcus through countless dark nights. In the distance, coyotes called across the wilderness, their voices echoing off the canyon walls that had witnessed generations of his family's history on this land. The next morning brought an unexpected visitor that would change everything about the family's situation. A weathered pickup truck wound up the gravel road, carrying Dr. Elena Vasquez, a geological surveyor from the New Mexico Institute of Mining and Technology. She explained that her research team was conducting a comprehensive mineral survey of the region, following up on historical mining claims and geological formations that might indicate valuable deposits. Derek immediately perked up, calculating how geological value might increase the property's sale price to the developers. Dr. Vasquez requested permission to take soil samples and conduct ground-penetrating radar surveys, particularly in areas where historical documents suggested early mining activity had occurred. Marcus volunteered to guide her around the property, grateful for any excuse to spend time exploring the land he loved. As they walked the rugged terrain, Dr. Vasquez commented on the unusual geological formations and the high mineral content visible in certain rock outcroppings. She was particularly interested in the red rock area where Ranger always seemed drawn, noting that the iron oxide staining could indicate deeper mineral deposits worth investigating. Ranger's behavior became even more pronounced during Dr. Vasquez's visit, leading them directly to the spots she wanted to examine most carefully. The German Shepherd would sit and bark at specific locations, as if marking them for human attention. Dr. Vasquez was amazed by the dog's apparent ability to identify areas of geological interest, joking that Ranger seemed to have better instincts than her expensive equipment. Over the following days, as the geological team conducted their preliminary surveys, Marcus spent more time with Ranger exploring the remote corners of the property. The dog led him along deer trails and through dense stands of pine and aspen, always returning to certain favored locations. One afternoon, while following Ranger up a steep slope covered with loose shale, Marcus discovered something that made his heart race. Hidden beneath an overhang of weathered sandstone, partially concealed by decades of fallen leaves and debris, was the entrance to an old mining shaft that wasn't marked on any of the property maps or surveys he had seen. The opening was secured with rotting wooden boards bearing the faded remnants of warning signs. The discovery of the unmarked mine shaft sent ripples of excitement and concern through the household that evening. Marcus described finding the hidden entrance to Elena and Derek, explaining how Ranger had led him directly to the location. Dr. Vasquez was immediately interested, noting that unmapped mining operations often indicated either abandoned claims or deliberate concealment of valuable finds. Derek's attitude shifted from skepticism to eager anticipation, suddenly seeing potential value in Marcus's wanderings around the property. Elena worried about safety, remembering childhood warnings from their grandmother about old mines and unstable ground. Dr. Vasquez arranged to bring specialized equipment to examine the shaft safely, including gas detectors and structural assessment tools. She explained that many old mining operations in the region had been abandoned not because they lacked valuable minerals, but because of limited technology, transportation challenges, or economic downturns that made extraction unprofitable at the time. The possibility that their grandmother's property might contain significant mineral wealth created a new dynamic within the family, though Marcus remained focused on preserving the land rather than exploiting it for profit. The following week brought a convoy of vehicles up the mountain road as Dr. Vasquez's expanded team arrived with specialized mining survey equipment. The group included structural engineers, mineral assay specialists, and historical mining experts who could evaluate both the safety and potential value of the discovered shaft. Ranger seemed energized by all the activity, leading different team members to various locations around the property with an enthusiasm that amazed everyone involved. The initial safety assessment revealed that the mine shaft was more extensive than anyone had imagined, with multiple tunnels branching into the mountainside following veins of ore that early miners had been pursuing. Core samples from the shaft walls and surrounding areas showed promising concentrations of precious metals, including silver and traces of gold, along with rare earth elements that had become increasingly valuable in modern technology. Dr. Vasquez explained that these findings were preliminary, but the geological indicators suggested deposits that could be worth millions of dollars if properly developed. The news created a whirlwind of excitement and new complications as Derek began making phone calls to lawyers and mining companies, while Elena struggled to process the magnitude of their potential windfall. Marcus found himself caught between conflicting emotions as the scope of the discovery became clear over the following days. Part of him was thrilled that his grandmother's property might provide financial security for his family, potentially solving the problems that had made him feel like such a burden. But another part of him worried about what large-scale mining operations would mean for the pristine wilderness that had been his sanctuary during the difficult transition back to civilian life. Ranger seemed to share his mixed feelings, alternating between excited exploration of the expanding survey sites and protective behavior around Marcus when tensions ran high. The German Shepherd had developed a particular wariness toward some of the outside contractors, who began showing up as word of the discovery leaked into the local mining community. Derek was fielding multiple calls from development companies and mining corporations eager to negotiate contracts, while lawyers advised the family about mineral rights, environmental regulations, and the complex legal framework surrounding mining operations on private land. Elena tried to mediate between her husband's excitement and her brother's concerns about environmental impact and family legacy. The situation took a dangerous turn when Marcus and Ranger encountered unexpected visitors during one of their morning walks around the property boundaries. 3 men in expensive outdoor gear were taking photographs and collecting soil samples near the mine shaft area, clearly trespassing on family land. When Marcus approached to question their presence, the men claimed to be environmental consultants hired by Pinnacle Development Corporation to conduct preliminary assessments. Their leader, a smooth-talking man named Bradley Chen, explained that they were simply gathering information for potential future partnerships. However, Marcus noticed that their equipment looked more like professional mining survey gear than environmental testing tools, and their evasive answers about who exactly had authorized their presence raised red flags. Ranger's hackles rose as Chen spoke, the German Shepherd positioning himself protectively between his master and the strangers. Chen made several attempts to distract or win over the dog with treats, but Ranger refused to be charmed, maintaining his alert defensive posture throughout the uncomfortable encounter. Marcus ordered the men to leave immediately, but Chen's parting comments suggested they would be back with proper legal authorization. That evening's family meeting revealed the complexity of their situation as different parties began circling around their newfound mineral wealth. Derek admitted he had been in preliminary discussions with multiple companies, including Pinnacle Development, about potential partnerships or outright sales of mining rights. Elena discovered that several neighbors had already been contacted by representatives from various corporations, some offering immediate cash payments for information about the family's discovery. Dr. Vasquez warned them that valuable mineral finds often attracted both legitimate business interests and less scrupulous operators who might use intimidation or legal manipulation to gain control of profitable claims. Marcus shared his concerns about Chen and his team, describing their suspicious behavior and professional-grade equipment. The family realized they needed legal representation to protect their interests, but finding trustworthy counsel in their remote mountain community proved challenging. Meanwhile, Ranger's protective instincts remained heightened, and the dog began patrolling the property boundaries with increased vigilance, as if sensing threats that the humans couldn't yet perceive. The German Shepherd's behavior suggested that their troubles with unwanted visitors were far from over. The family's fears proved justified when they discovered evidence of continued trespassing over the next several days. Ranger found fresh tire tracks near the mine shaft area, along with equipment caches hidden under camouflaged tarps in locations where unauthorized surveyors had been working during the night hours. Marcus began sleeping fitfully, awakened by Ranger's low growls at sounds that didn't belong in their familiar wilderness environment. During one pre-dawn patrol, they discovered that someone had attempted to remove some of the wooden barriers from the mine shaft entrance, leaving behind professional prying tools and fresh wood shavings. Elena found strange footprints around the house and discovered that someone had been going through their mailbox, possibly looking for correspondence with lawyers or mining consultants. Derek initially dismissed these incidents as overly paranoid concerns, but his attitude changed when he received a phone call from Bradley Chen offering to buy the entire property for an amount that was suspiciously generous for land that Chen supposedly knew nothing about. The offer came with a tight deadline and pressure tactics that made Derek finally understand the predatory nature of some of the interest in their mineral discovery. The situation escalated dramatically when Dr. Vasquez failed to arrive for a scheduled meeting and couldn't be reached by phone or email. Her research team discovered that she had left her hotel room early that morning to drive up to the ranch, but her vehicle never arrived. Marcus and Derek organized a search along the mountain road, finding Dr. Vasquez's truck disabled by what appeared to be deliberate mechanical sabotage at a remote section of the winding highway. The vehicle had been pushed partially off the road and concealed behind a stand of evergreen trees, with clear evidence that someone had tampered with the brake lines. Dr. Vasquez was missing, along with her research files, geological surveys, and mineral assay reports that documented the full extent of the valuable deposits on the family property. Local authorities were contacted, but the remote location and limited law enforcement resources meant that the search would take time to organize properly. Marcus realized that Dr. Vasquez's disappearance was directly connected to the mineral discovery, and that his family was now dealing with criminals willing to use kidnapping and violence to gain control of their land. Ranger seemed to understand the gravity of the situation, staying close to Marcus and exhibiting the alert behavior patterns he had learned during his time as a military working dog. Elena's call to the county sheriff revealed disturbing information about similar incidents in other parts of the region where mineral discoveries had attracted criminal attention. Sheriff Maria Santos explained that several mining consultants and property owners had reported intimidation tactics, including theft of geological surveys, equipment sabotage, and in some cases, physical threats against people who refused to sell mineral rights at below-market prices. She warned the family that Dr. Vasquez's disappearance fit a pattern of escalating criminal behavior by groups seeking to illegally control valuable mining claims. The sheriff's department was already investigating connections between these incidents and certain companies that used intimidation to acquire mineral rights cheaply before reselling them to legitimate mining corporations at huge profits. However, the remote mountain terrain and limited law enforcement personnel made it difficult to provide immediate protection or conduct comprehensive searches. Sheriff Santos advised the family to consider temporarily relocating to town until the criminal investigation could be resolved. But Marcus refused to abandon the property that had become the target of criminal interest. He was determined to find Dr. Vasquez and protect his family's claim to their grandmother's legacy. That night, Marcus made the decision that would put him and Ranger directly in harm's way, but ultimately lead to resolving the dangerous situation. He knew that waiting for law enforcement backup might be too late to help Dr. Vasquez, and his military training told him that the criminals would likely escalate their tactics if they felt cornered. Using skills learned during his deployments, Marcus prepared for a reconnaissance mission to locate where Dr. Vasquez might be held and gather evidence about the criminal operation threatening his family. Ranger seemed to sense the seriousness of their mission, exhibiting the focused alertness that had made him such an effective military working dog. Marcus packed emergency supplies, communication equipment, and his grandfather's hunting rifle, understanding that they might face dangerous opponents in the rugged mountain wilderness. As they prepared to leave under cover of darkness, Elena begged her brother to wait for professional help. But Marcus explained that Dr. Vasquez's life might depend on immediate action. The German Shepherd's training and loyalty would be crucial assets in the dangerous hours ahead as they ventured into unknown territory to confront an enemy willing to use violence to achieve their goals. Marcus and Ranger began their search by following the tire tracks they had discovered near the disabled truck, using flashlights covered with red filters to preserve their night vision while tracking through the dense forest. The German Shepherd's superior senses proved invaluable as he led them along a faint trail that wound deeper into the mountainous wilderness, following scent markers and disturbances that Marcus's human senses couldn't detect. After nearly 2 hours of careful tracking through increasingly treacherous terrain, they discovered a hidden camp nestled in a box canyon several miles from the main road. The camp consisted of multiple tents, portable equipment shelters, and a communications setup that suggested a well-organized criminal operation rather than simple trespassers. Marcus observed the camp from concealment, counting at least 6 men and noting professional-grade mining equipment that confirmed his suspicions about the scope of the illegal operation. Dr. Vasquez was being held in a reinforced tent under guard, but appeared to be unharmed based on Marcus's careful observation through night vision binoculars. The criminals had clearly planned to hold her until they could force the family to sign over mineral rights or abandon their claim to the property. Ranger remained perfectly still during their surveillance, displaying the disciplined behavior that had made him such an effective partner in military operations. The rescue operation required careful planning and split-second timing as Marcus identified the guards' patrol patterns and found potential escape routes through the rocky canyon terrain. He realized that a direct assault would be impossible against 6 armed opponents, but his military experience suggested alternative tactics that might work with Ranger's help. The German Shepherd had been trained in both attack and distraction techniques, and Marcus developed a plan that would use the dog's abilities to create chaos while he moved to free Dr. Vasquez. The criminal camp's location in the narrow canyon would work to their advantage, as the confined space would amplify sound and make it difficult for the guards to coordinate their response to unexpected attacks. Marcus identified the leader of the group as Bradley Chen, who was clearly directing the operation from a command tent equipped with communications gear and detailed maps of the family property. Chen was coordinating with outside contacts, discussing plans to force the family into a quick sale by escalating pressure tactics if the kidnapping didn't produce immediate results. The discovery that this was part of a larger criminal conspiracy, targeting multiple properties in the region, made Marcus even more determined to gather evidence that could help law enforcement shut down the entire operation. The action began when Marcus positioned himself on the canyon rim while Ranger approached the camp from a different direction, using techniques they had practiced during their military service together. At Marcus's signal, Ranger created a dramatic distraction by attacking the guard's supply cache, scattering equipment and howling in a way that suggested a pack of wild animals was threatening the camp. The criminals reacted with panic and confusion, grabbing weapons and flashlights while trying to locate the source of the disturbance in the darkness. During the chaos, Marcus rappelled down the canyon wall using climbing gear, reaching Dr. Vasquez's tent while most of the guards were focused on Ranger's location. He quickly cut through the tent wall and freed the frightened but determined geologist, who had been working on loosening her own restraints. However, their escape was complicated when Chen spotted movement near the tent and realized they were under attack rather than facing wild animals. The criminal leader began shouting orders to his men while grabbing a rifle and moving to cut off potential escape routes from the canyon. Marcus and Dr. Vasquez found themselves trapped between armed guards and the steep canyon walls, with only Ranger's continued attacks providing distraction from their desperate situation. The most dangerous moments of the rescue came when Chen and 2 of his men cornered Marcus and Dr. Vasquez near the canyon's narrow exit, while the other guards tried to track down and eliminate Ranger. Marcus used his combat training to engage the criminals in a firefight among the rocky outcroppings, but their ammunition and defensive positions were limited. Dr. Vasquez proved to be more resourceful than expected, using her geological knowledge to identify unstable rock formations that could be triggered to create landslides, blocking the guards' advance. Ranger demonstrated his military training by systematically disabling the criminals' equipment and communications gear, preventing them from calling for reinforcements or coordinating their defensive efforts effectively. The German Shepherd's attacks were precisely targeted to maximize disruption while avoiding lethal confrontation, showing the intelligent restraint that had made him such an effective military working dog. However, the situation became critical when Chen managed to wound Marcus in the shoulder with rifle fire, leaving Dr. Vasquez as his primary protection while Ranger continued to harass the other guards. The narrow canyon that had initially worked to their advantage now threatened to become a trap, as the criminals began to regroup and systematically search every possible hiding place among the rocky terrain. The tide of the battle turned when Ranger executed a coordinated attack that demonstrated both his military training and his deep bond with Marcus. Sensing that his wounded master was in immediate danger, the German Shepherd abandoned his harassment tactics and launched a direct assault on Chen's position. The dog's speed and agility in the rocky terrain allowed him to approach undetected, and his attack caught the criminal leader completely off guard. While Chen struggled with the powerful German Shepherd, Marcus managed to disarm one of the other guards and turn their own weapons against them. Dr. Vasquez used the confusion to trigger a small landslide that blocked the remaining criminals' escape route while creating a defensive barrier for their own position. The combination of Marcus's combat skills, Dr. Vasquez's geological expertise, and Ranger's tactical abilities proved too much for the criminal operation to handle. Within minutes, the remaining guards were either disabled or had surrendered, while Chen found himself facing the business end of his own rifle with a very angry German Shepherd standing guard over him. The rescue had succeeded, but the remote location and Marcus's injury meant they still faced challenges in getting to safety and ensuring the criminals couldn't escape before law enforcement arrived. The aftermath of the rescue operation revealed the full scope of the criminal conspiracy, as Marcus used Chen's communication equipment to contact both his family and law enforcement authorities. Dr. Vasquez discovered that the criminals had stolen not only her research files, but also detailed surveys and mineral assessments from several other properties in the region, confirming that this was part of a systematic effort to illegally acquire valuable mining claims. Chen's equipment included contracts with shell companies and evidence of bribes paid to local officials who had been providing information about pending mineral surveys and property assessments. The criminal operation had been targeting families and small property owners who lacked the resources to fight lengthy legal battles or resist intimidation tactics effectively. Marcus realized that his family's situation was just one part of a much larger scheme that had been operating throughout the mountain region for several months. Sheriff Santos arrived with backup and medical personnel within hours of Marcus's emergency radio call, bringing equipment needed to safely transport the wounded veteran and the rescued geologist back to civilization. Ranger received praise from the law enforcement officers for his role in the successful rescue, with several commenting that his military training had been crucial to the operation's success. The legal resolution of the criminal case provided closure and justice that extended far beyond Marcus's family situation. Chen and his associates faced federal charges for kidnapping, extortion, and conspiracy to commit mining fraud across multiple states, with evidence gathered during the rescue leading to arrests of additional conspirators and corrupt officials. Dr. Vasquez's stolen research was recovered and used to document the true value of mineral deposits on the family property and several neighboring ranches that had been targeted by the criminal operation. The geological surveys confirmed that the family's mine shaft accessed ore veins worth several $1 million, but with proper environmental controls and sustainable extraction methods that could preserve the wilderness character of their mountain property. Derek's attitude toward Marcus changed dramatically as he realized that his brother-in-law's military skills and courage had not only saved Dr. Vasquez's life, but also protected their family's mineral wealth from criminal theft. Elena was finally able to see her husband and brother working together as they developed plans for responsible mining operations that could provide financial security while honoring their grandmother's love for the land. The experience had transformed Marcus from feeling like a burden to being recognized as the hero who had saved both a life and a legacy. The family's new understanding extended to their appreciation of Ranger's crucial role in discovering and protecting their mineral wealth. The German Shepherd had not only led them to the hidden mine shaft, but had also sensed the criminal threat before the humans realized the danger they faced. Marcus established a trust fund from the mining proceeds to support programs that provided service dogs for disabled veterans, ensuring that other military families could experience the same loyal partnership that had saved his own family. Dr. Vasquez became a close family friend and trusted advisor for their mining operations, which were developed using environmentally sustainable methods that preserved the wilderness areas where Ranger continued to patrol and explore. Derek publicly apologized for his earlier attitude toward Marcus, acknowledging that his brother-in-law's disabilities had never defined his true value to the family or his capacity for heroism when it mattered most. Elena worked with veteran support organizations to share their story, encouraging other military families to recognize the strength and resilience that could emerge from challenges that initially seemed overwhelming. The mountain ranch became a symbol of how loyalty, courage, and family bonds could overcome both criminal threats and personal struggles. The transformation of their mountain property into a successful but environmentally responsible mining operation created opportunities for the entire family to build new lives while honoring old traditions. Marcus found purpose in managing the mining contracts and environmental oversight, using skills from his military experience in ways that accommodated his physical limitations while providing meaningful work. Elena discovered talents for financial management and community relations as she coordinated between mining companies, environmental groups, and local authorities to ensure responsible development of their mineral resources. Derek channeled his business instincts into expanding their operations to include consultation services for other property owners who discovered valuable deposits, helping families avoid the criminal targeting that had threatened their own situation. Ranger adapted to his new role as both family protector and unofficial mascot for their mining operations, with his story inspiring articles in veteran publications and mining industry journals about the unique contributions that service animals could make to civilian careers. Dr. Vasquez established a research partnership with the family that combined geological expertise with environmental protection, creating a model for sustainable resource extraction in sensitive wilderness areas. The mountain community's response to their story created lasting changes in how mineral discoveries were handled throughout the region. Sheriff Santos worked with state and federal agencies to establish better protection protocols for property owners who discovered valuable deposits, preventing criminal groups from targeting vulnerable families with intimidation tactics. Local lawyers and business consultants developed resource networks to help property owners navigate the complex legal and financial aspects of mineral rights without falling victim to exploitation or fraud. The family's experience became a case study for mining industry associations, demonstrating how responsible development could benefit local communities while preserving environmental values that attracted tourism and maintained quality of life in rural areas. Marcus was invited to speak at veterans conferences about the importance of service dog partnerships in civilian careers, sharing how Rangers' loyalty and training had been essential to their success in both discovering and protecting their mineral wealth. Elena organized community meetings that brought together property owners, environmental groups, and mining companies to develop cooperative approaches that balanced economic development with conservation values. As winter snow began falling on the Sangre de Cristo Mountains, the family gathered around their fireplace to reflect on the remarkable year that had transformed their lives and relationships. Marcus no longer felt like a burden, but had discovered new purpose in protecting both his family's interests and his mountain community from those who would exploit or threaten their way of life. Elena and Derek's marriage had grown stronger through the crisis, with both partners learning to value different types of strength and contribution within their family unit. Ranger dozed peacefully by the fire, secure in his role as both beloved companion and heroic protector, whose instincts and loyalty had guided the family through their greatest challenges. Dr. Vasquez joined them for dinner, bringing updates on their mining operations and environmental monitoring that confirmed they were achieving their goals of financial success without environmental destruction. The conversation turned to plans for the coming year, including expansion of their veteran support programs and continued collaboration with researchers studying sustainable mining techniques. Outside, the wind whistled through the pine trees that surrounded their mountain home. But inside, the family felt secure in the bonds they had strengthened through facing danger together. The evening's discussion included reflections on how their grandmother's legacy had ultimately been preserved and enhanced, rather than lost to development pressures or criminal exploitation. Marcus realized that Rosa's stories about the old mining claims had been more than entertainment. They were hints about family history and hidden resources that she had trusted future generations to discover and protect responsibly. Elena found comfort in knowing that their children would inherit not just financial security, but also a strong sense of family identity rooted in the mountain landscape that had shaped their ancestors' lives. Derek admitted that his earlier focus on quick profit from property sales had missed the deeper value of long-term stewardship and sustainable development that could benefit many generations. Ranger's contented presence served as a living reminder that loyalty and courage were more valuable than money, though their mineral wealth had certainly made life easier and more secure for everyone involved. Dr. Vasquez shared her plans to establish a research station on their property that would study both geological formations and wildlife conservation, ensuring that their land would contribute to scientific knowledge as well as economic prosperity. The family's story concluded with a recognition ceremony where local authorities and veterans organizations honored Marcus and Ranger for their heroic rescue of Dr. Vasquez and their role in exposing the criminal conspiracy that had threatened multiple families throughout the region. Marcus accepted the awards on behalf of all disabled veterans who had found new purpose and meaning in civilian careers that built upon their military training and experience. Ranger received a special citation for his service to the community, joining the ranks of distinguished working dogs whose loyalty and intelligence had made crucial differences in protecting human lives and property. Elena and Derek were recognized for their commitment to responsible resource development that balanced economic opportunity with environmental protection and community values. Dr. Vasquez received awards from geological societies for her courage in continuing her research despite criminal intimidation and for her innovative approaches to sustainable mining practices. The ceremony brought together representatives from law enforcement, veteran organizations, environmental groups, and the mining industry, demonstrating how cooperation between different interests could achieve outcomes that benefited everyone involved. The final moments of their story found Marcus and Ranger walking the familiar trails around their mountain property as spring returned to the high country, bringing new growth and renewed opportunities for the year ahead. The German Shepherd moved with the confident stride of a dog who knew his territory and his purpose, occasionally ranging ahead to investigate interesting scents or sounds, but always returning to his master's side. Marcus walked with less pain than he had experienced in months, thanks to improved medical care that their mineral wealth had made affordable and accessible. Their mining operations were producing steady income while environmental monitoring confirmed that wildlife and water quality remained protected through their careful extraction methods. The family had developed a routine of sharing Sunday dinners, where they discussed business matters, community projects, and plans for supporting other veteran families who might benefit from their experience and resources. Ranger had become something of a local celebrity, with requests for him to visit schools and veteran gatherings where his story inspired others to recognize the potential for heroism and success, even in the face of significant challenges and disabilities. As they paused to rest on a ridge overlooking their valley, Marcus reflected on how much had changed since the dark days when he felt like nothing but a burden to his family and community. The landscape spread below them showed signs of both natural beauty and human activity, with their mining operations visible as small, well-managed disturbances in the vast wilderness that remained largely untouched and pristine. Ranger sat beside him with the alert but relaxed posture of a working dog who had earned his rest through faithful service and successful completion of dangerous missions. In the distance, they could see Dr. Vasquez's research station, where ongoing studies were documenting the effectiveness of their environmental protection measures and contributing to scientific understanding of sustainable resource development. Elena and Derek's voices carried on the mountain air as they worked in their garden, discussing plans for hosting a summer gathering that would bring together veterans, mining professionals, and environmental researchers to share experiences and develop new approaches to challenges facing rural communities. Their conversations had evolved from arguments about financial burdens to collaborative planning for projects that could benefit many families, while preserving the mountain heritage that had shaped their own family's identity and values. The story reached its conclusion as Marcus knelt to embrace Ranger, acknowledging the profound debt he owed to the loyal German shepherd, whose instincts and courage had guided them through their greatest crisis and toward their greatest triumph. The dog's warm brown eyes reflected the deep intelligence and unwavering devotion that had made him such an effective partner in both military service and civilian adventures. Around them, the mountain wilderness stretched toward distant peaks where snow still capped the highest ridges, reminding them that their land contained both beauty and resources that demanded respectful stewardship for future generations. Their family's transformation from conflict and financial insecurity to cooperation and prosperity had been possible only through the combination of human courage, animal loyalty, and the mysterious workings of providence that had hidden valuable minerals beneath their grandmother's beloved mountain ranch. As they began their walk home, Marcus offered a silent prayer of gratitude for the second chance at meaningful life that had emerged from what had initially seemed like devastating disability and family rejection. Ranger trotted beside him with the satisfied air of a dog who had fulfilled his deepest purpose by protecting and serving the human family he loved above all else. Share your thoughts about this incredible bond between veterans and their loyal companions in the comments below, and let us know where you're listening from as these stories of courage and redemption continue to inspire communities across our nation. Consider subscribing to support our mission of bringing these powerful stories of healing and heroism to those who need them most. Next, we'll explore another remarkable tale of unexpected discoveries and the faithful animals who help us find our way through life's greatest challenges, reminding us all that sometimes our most valuable treasures are hidden in plain sight, waiting for loyal hearts to reveal them. Thank you for joining us today, and remember to honor the veterans and their families who continue to serve our communities with the same courage and dedication they showed in uniform.